This video is fueled by Squarespace.
There are good t-shirts that can be made for $10, and there are also gooder t-shirts that can be made for $220, like this one from S.E.H Kelly, who claim this is what a t-shirt would look like if t-shirts were made with respect. And I agree, because I think I look smashing. I sent selfies to my girlfriend, and I was like, look at me. I personally like to remind my girlfriend that she thinks I'm attractive. Today, the quest to find the best men's t-shirt continues. We'll be looking at 6 different shirts, focusing on fabric, longevity, and fit. Some things you need to know before this video starts so it makes sense. Number 1, I am 5'9" and 140 pounds. Taylor calls me her 140-pound boyfriend, which makes me think she has a boyfriend at every pound. Number 3, I prefer beefier, heavyweight fabrics. Not that there's anything lower quality about thinner weight fabrics all the time, but I just like stiffer shirts because they touch they're also less see-through usually. Also, just wanted to show you I got a sewing machine. This is a huge deal for me. By the way, if you're interested in any of these shirts, check out the link in my description that starts with carrot so you can find them easily. First up on this list is Haynes. I like Haynes a lot. The question is, how do they make things so cheap? And the answer is vertical integration. I don't know if it's completely vertically integrated. Either Haynes owns the manufacturing facility or the manufacturing facility in Honduras says, we make these fabrics, we stitch these shirts, we do this, we do that. You can pick what you want. Haynes is not going out of their way to source special fabrics from different places. Another thing that they do is this is a tubular knit shirt. You'll notice the sides are not cut. We'll touch on the fit of that in a little bit, but there's less tailoring involved. You're not cutting fabric in half and then sewing it back together or anything. You're pulling this right off the machine. We'll get into open-ended fabrics and everything like that when we talk about the next shirt, which also involves this shirt. No, the cotton is not really that good. It uses a lot more short staple fibers. That's why it feels a little coarse, a little wiry. The ribbed collar is still ribbed, but it is thin. You can see how the microphone droops. So all in all, what would I rank Haynes in terms of quality? 2, 3, 4? Not that those are bad, but when we get up higher, you'll know why it's so low. For my body, you will notice that this shirt is much too long and it creates a weird crinkly effect. For the overall fit though, in this tubular design with nothing sewn on the side, you know those cans of dough you can get that pop open when you hit them against the counter? I feel like that. Overall fit ranking, 4, 5. Number 2 you probably heard of because they have amazing quality basics made in the United States for a good price and the workers are paid fairly. They have 401ks, it says everything like that on their website. But LA Apparel, Los Angeles Apparel, makes this shirt that I'm wearing right now, which they say is one of the heaviest shirts in the world. But this is an 8-ounce open-ended fabric, which we'll get into in a second. Again, tubular knit, made in the USA, but I don't know where the fabric is from. We have a majorly updated collar. As you can see, there's virtually no sag. I'll also talk about it in the fit section. Going from $8 to $25 is probably the move you're gonna make if you're looking for the best budget t-shirt. And this t-shirt far exceeds my expectations of what I would get for a $25 made in the USA shirt. So you're probably wondering, well, how do they save costs then? Number 1 is obviously they are pumping out these shirts all the time. The other way they're reducing costs is by using open-ended cotton fabric, which they say right on their website. It's no secret. Haynes does the same thing. Essentially, picture a cotton candy machine that's spinning fibers of cotton, not candy this time, very, very fast. All those fibers are whirling around, but the downside of this fiber compared to something like ring spun cotton, which we'll get into in a second, is that it's not as strong, it's not as smooth, it doesn't feel silky, it doesn't feel as nice. Sleeve length, good. Length of shirt, bad, for me at least. If you were taller, it'd be fantastic. This honestly feels like they took the pattern for the Haynes t-shirt, copied it, and made it in the USA. I do noticeably, however, feel less like a can of dough compressed inside of aluminum because the under armpits have some more space here, so I would suggest this fit over Haynes a little bit. But overall rating, 6.8, no, 6. There is a very large turning point between the first 2 shirts and the rest of the shirts shown in this video because those first 2 shirts are aiming for a price point and the rest of these brands are more like, forget the price point, we want to use this cotton, we want to make stuff here, we want to do it with these people and XYZ, but in order for me to pay for those shirts, this video has to be sponsored and it is sponsored by Squarespace. Not to get like super dramatic, but chances are you have a dream in this world that you're dying to pursue. It could be photography, it could be singing, it could be writing a blog, whatever it may be, you need to start with a website so people can find you and think that you're legitimate. I have one. And lucky for you, you live in the year 2023, so you don't have to learn how to code to get a website. You can sign up for Squarespace and choose one of their thousands of themes and have a beautiful website right away. And now with Squarespace's Fluid Engine, it's easier than ever to make your website because all you have to do is drag and drop things to where you want them to be and that's your site. And not only that, Squarespace also makes it easier than ever to start a blog right from your site with no additional setup. And if you're selling things in person, Squarespace also offers a point of sale system to make sure everything is connected and easy. So anyways, thank you so much Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you're interested, you can use my code, the Iron Snail, at checkout to save 10% off your first order of a website or domain. Goodbye now. Okay, next up is our first 100% made in the USA shirt. It is from Dehen 1920. The fabric and the cut and sew is done in the USA. This is also the first shirt with side seams on it, which I like side seams better because you can usually finagle the fit a bit more. It doesn't feel like you're stuck in a tube. This is a fantastic shirt, except one thing I don't like. But before I get there, this is a ring spun fabric, but if you asked me, I wouldn't be able to tell. It feels very coarse. This fabric feels very dense, like all the threads are incredibly tightly packed together, and I like that feeling a lot. I feel like I could take a very slow-moving, large, soft bullet. The only thing I'm not the biggest fan of is this is a self-collar or a self-binding collar. It is not made out of a rib material, or at least it doesn't seem like it is at all. And the reason that a lot of brands do this, I don't want to speak for Dehen 1920 for sure, they could just like this better, is because you buy the fabric of the shirt, of course, but then you buy the ribbing that goes around the neck, and you have to dye that ribbing to match, unless you do a perfectly white shirt or something like that, so the price goes up. For getting a completely made in the USA shirt out of fabric that I really like with side seams that has a great fit, maybe that's where they cut corners to keep it at $60, but either way, I don't mind at all because I think it's a really nice $60 spent. I'm putting the shirt on live so you can see how tight, putting the shirt on live so you can see how tight the neck hole was. Length, still too long. I'm not a very tall person. All of these are probably gonna be too long on me. It does have side seams. I feel less like dough, which is good, and the short sleeves do make me feel like I look a little bit more muscular. This one I would rate 7.2. As always, everything is cyclical, so we go from a $60 t-shirt with side seams to a $90 t-shirt with no side seams. But this time, the reason there are no side seams is because this fabric is knit on vintage Japanese dye maruki machines, which is, you don't cut that fabric until we get to the next brand because it's a special way, it's the old way of doing things. And now what's happening is brands at this level aren't just getting fabric made in the USA or made in Japan or something like that. They are getting custom fabric that uses cotton they selected. They are using yarns that they selected. So you get a lot more detailed control of every single variable that's changing about your shirt, how it feels and everything like that. So anyways, all that means is that this shirt should be holding its shape better, should be stronger, should be softer, should be more of a high quality shirt in general. My microphone died, then I had to let it charge for an hour, so my excitement may have waned a little bit, but this is basically the perfect fitting shirt for me. Maybe it's a little bit too long, but the width is great, the sleeve length is great. Everything about this is perfect to the point where I would probably say 9.6 or 5, 9.6 or 5, maybe 7. And then, of course, we get to this level. The unbeatable level, because you are using 1% of the best cotton in the entire world. This is the Wonder Looper Ultimate Pima Suriyami t-shirt, aka the ceiling. About as high as you could possibly go in terms of getting a quality t-shirt, and I will explain to you just exactly why. Every year, there are 24 million tons of cotton grown around the world. 342,000 of those tons are organic cotton, and 11,000 of that 342,000 tons is Ultimate Pima cotton. It's the best cotton that you can get in the entire world, and you can only get it on one farm from one farmer. It is extra long staple cotton fiber, so it's the softest but also the strongest. And on top of that, because that's not where it ends, of course, this is a loop wheel knitted t-shirt, but Wonder Looper wanted to tell you it is Suriyami knit, because a lot of things can be called loop wheel, not a lot of things can be called Suriyami knit. This is one of the slowest ways to make fabric in the world. It makes about a meter of fabric per hour, but the result of that is you get a fabric that feels different than all the other fabrics that I've been talking about. Since the fabric is knit with virtually zero tension, it feels very spongy, it stretches easier, it holds its shape better, it's stronger. Everything about it is really positive, as you probably would have imagined. It's got some decent horsepower. 8.9, 9.6. The knitted t-shirt you have here, made with cotton, as you know, needs some tender, loving care if it is to enjoy a life long and happy. S.E.H Kelly t-shirt. Probably the coolest t-shirt that I have ever seen because it's not really a t-shirt. If I told someone this is a t-shirt, they'd say no. That is a sweatshirt with no sleeves, and I'd probably agree with them. But either way, it's absolutely fantastic, and it brings up the last point that I wanted to talk about, which is this letter is really just care guides for the shirt, and that's really the note that I wanted to end on for this video. Unless you don't care about your shirt or you do physical labor and your shirt's getting destroyed all the time, if you want a really nice t-shirt, it is worth it to A, spend some money on it, and B, care for it correctly. You could obviously get a t-shirt and wash it really rough and throw it in the dryer and everything, and it will probably be fine and hold up for a very long time. But if you're getting a $50, $60, $90, $220 t-shirt, you should start looking at the care instructions. You should probably wash it on gentle, hang dry it at the very least.
Oh, and quick public service announcement. If you are staining your shirts yellow or discoloring your colored shirts, whatever it may be, check your deodorant. Don't use aluminum deodorant. That'll mess up your shirts basically 100% of the time.
The other thing I had is that the cheaper you go, the more likely a shirt is to be made for the masses and not specifically for a group of people. That's why they're generally longer, skinnier, kind of weirdly shaped, because they have to fit me at 5'9", and they have to fit you at 6'4", so we'll just make it extra long because Michael can deal with it. So if you want a truly well-fitting t-shirt, you should probably look for a brand that matches your body type better, whether that be short, long, anything in between. That's what you're after, because the other thing is you take your shirt to a tailor and get it hemmed, but you could just tack that price on to your shirt before and get it from a brand that fits you really well. I hope one of these shirts jives with you. If not, I think I reviewed like 20 something others, but I will see you next week. Goodbye.